Two ladies just called. They've lived through it. They're screaming to all the people that will listen. I asked could I share their story. They said absolutely, please, please. They said America does not realize we're headed to socialism.
Hey everybody, we have been getting some calls at people that are really, they're afraid, to be honest with you. And they're afraid because they know where what we're living through right now leads. This lady came from Cuba. Stacy actually talked to her, and I want to show you something.
And actually came from Germany also.
Stacy typed all this up from what, hand typed it up. So hit the like button for Stacy. That's a lot of work that I really appreciate. I really do appreciate that. And I know everybody else does. And I've got a email from a lady, and the title was "Please Advise," and that's, you know, I'm not a financial advisor, but we are going to talk about a little bit about what's going on with cash, and if you've got a bunch of cash or the lack of, you know, what do we do? What do we do now? You know, there's so many situations. We'll try to get into it a little bit, and I'm going to probably have a panel of very wealthy, smart people, because I don't want to ever come across like I know exactly what to do. I'm not going to ever do that. We're going to get through this together and try to help each other. But we're going to try to streamline that in this video. So get into what the Cuba lady was saying.
Well, there's a lady from Cuba and Germany. So yes, I did. I typed it up. Well, the reason why is they were so amazing today. They called to buy gold and silver. And in the process, they started telling me their story. And I asked them, did they mind if I shared? So while they were talking, I took notes, because I didn't want to forget what they were saying and not be factually accurate. So I'll start out with the lady from Cuba. So she said she has not a ton of memories because she left when she was a child, but she has a lot of family still over there, and she talks to them a lot. She had an uncle that just recently passed away, and he kept saying, I'm telling you, America is becoming controlled socialism. And she kept saying, what does that mean? What does that mean when she was growing up? She said, unfortunately, he's passed now. She said, I wish I could go back and say, what do you mean? She said, now I know what is happening. She talks to her family back in Cuba. She constantly has to send them medicine, food, even scalpels. They ask for bandages. They ask for all kind of different things. They even have to take their own light bulbs to the hospital, she said. That's how bad it is. So she asked her family over there, she said, the ground is so fertile apparently in Cuba. Apparently you can grow tons of stuff. She said, why don't I send you guys seeds? And they responded back and they said, the elderly people are too old to work. And the young people have become so complacent and dependent on the government that they are no longer willing to be motivated, she said, to do anything. She said they literally just live to exist. She said they have become so dependent on the government. Then they're told that this fairy tale that apparently you can come to America, you can live a dream. She said they show up over here and they don't even want to work. She said she is so scared, and her quote was, I am scared that it is becoming socialism over here, the small steps that started in Cuba. And she said, quote, but it is more hidden in the disguise of technology all the time. And she said also, quote, they have learned how to take away our freedom a little bit at a time, just like they did in Cuba, but give us just enough freedom to be happy, and then they take away a little bit more. And she said, I am watching this happen just like my family in Cuba. She was it was sobering to talk to her, and she's trying to figure out what to do with her cash. She's trying to acquire gold and silver. But anyway, and then of course there's the next one in Germany I'll go on, but I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
It was very sobering to listen to her.
Well, she's lived through it. She knows about it, and she doesn't want to go back to it. Anybody that's lived through communism doesn't want anything to do with it. I mean, socialism, they don't want any part of it. When they experience freedom, that's what they want. And this is case in point, the lady that reached out to me, the please advise. If your thought process is like this lady, she's buying gold and silver. That's what she was on the phone with Stacy about today. I'm not trying to get you to buy gold and silver. That's between you, your family, God. You know, work that out with your own convictions. But that is done well in volatile environments. Okay. But first,
What do I want to talk about the Germany lady? Is it okay, or you want to continue to go on?
No, I hate to leave off saying just buy gold and silver, because that's not right.
True.
It's because if you've got debt, Do you want me to do this at the end?
Yeah, let's
I'll
talk
finish
about
at the end. Go ahead and go with the
let's
Germany
talk about
one.
the cash, 'cause I
But
really would
but
like
this
you
is
to
case in
expound.
point.
It
It's
is.
kind of like, you know,
It is.
every situation's so different.
It
But
is.
keep going. Tell
Well,
me
and
what
the Germany lady she has her own different perspective. So she said she actually grew up in Germany. She didn't leave till like in her 20s. She married a guy from the United States, got her visa, and came over here. And she was so brainwashed, she said, with how German socialism. She said, I just thought we were okay. She goes, we had nothing. All our freedoms were taken away. She said, it started in the schools. She said, I didn't even realize it until I got to the United States. And she said, it still took me several years to wrap my head around the freedom that I had at that point. She said, it started in the schools, though. They would take away subjects that they didn't want them to discuss. They only could have one type of religion. She said it just started gradually, little by little. And she said for the last however many years that she lived there, she had no idea. She got here and was like, oh my goodness. Now she is seeing exactly what happened in Germany. It was happening here. She calls her family over there. They're still so brainwashed. She said they still can't wrap their head around the freedoms that we have here. She is so worried about it. She is teaching her kids about what to expect. She's teaching them about precious metals, how much that means. She's teaching them about land, how to grow things. And she said, and this was very interesting, she said, she is shocked to see America just letting the government can take control of everything. Then she brought to my attention, she actually lives in the Texas area, and I did not realize, but in Houston, Texas, in the past month and I guess it's June, July. Anyway, there's been 2 separate occasions in the last 2 months that they have done buybacks of guns. And she said that's where it started in Germany. She said first they said they'll buy them back, then it'll be voluntary.
Give me just a second.
Go ahead.
Houston,
Texas.
When she told me this, I thought surely that's wrong. Surely.
Well, I went.
Surely
she,
that's
she
not
provided
happening
the
in
article.
Texas. She provided the article. Chime in the comments. We'll put the link in the description.
Yep.
I want to know if this is real. This is the first I'm hearing about it. Keep going, but that is unbelievable to be
So
honest.
apparently in Houston, first they were giving gift cards out if you would bring, I guess, certain guns in. And they call them ghost guns. It was the one mainly that you made yourself. They didn't have a lot of serial numbers and stuff like
Sure,
that.
yeah.
There were a few other ones that they were taking also. But then all of a sudden now they've come out and said, apparently, I don't know if we've got a lot of gift cards to give you, but still bring them in. She said that's exactly how Germany did. It became, they'll pay you, then voluntarily, then they're going to register you, and then they come confiscate. She said, I cannot believe that America is actually buying into this. She was extremely disturbed today when she called me, for her kids, for her family. It's very, it's a wake-up call that not only just us do we think it, but people that have come from other countries and lived through this are saying, wake up, people, wake up.
All this sounds so good to maybe a younger person that doesn't have their wits about them. When you were telling that story, I saw a moth fly straight into the flame, and that's exactly what it is. You know, hey, if we get rid of the weapons, there won't
Less
be
crime.
there'll be less crime, which is an absolute lie. Hey, if you come over to the new digital currency, you'll get your stimmy check faster. That's you know, moth to a flame. That's when I saw that, I thought, wow, it's all like that. All these things are for your safety.
Yep.
You know, it's always for your safety. And just when you hear that, when you hear climate, anything that has to do with that, I'm not saying, you know, we're not wearing the planet out. I'm just saying they're using it to their advantage. You know, never waste what is it? A catastrophe.
A good catastrophe to be controlling or something like that.
Whatever it is, but that's it's crazy that we're here. Yeah. And I get a lot of comments about when are we going to do something? When are we going to do something? Those conversations are not for YT because the very, very first freedom that is being taken away every day of my life is the freedom of speech. Yeah. We have to self-censor here. 100% I've already experienced that wrath, and I'm willing to self-censor to stay in front of you guys, right, to read comments like I do, to read this kind of stuff, because this is good. This is good. This is good news. And can I get back to the what do we do
one more
with
thing
cash?
before, because I really want to hear, because Chris and I have talked about this today, and you guys have reached out so much today and said, please give some advice about this cash on hand. One more thing, though, that happened to us personally today, where they're tracking us and all that kind of stuff. So we went online to renew our passports. I went online to renew mine, closed it out, got back in, tried to renew his. It recognized I was still coming from the same computer, and it said, sorry, it looks like you're the third person party trying to do this person's passport renewal, and it would not let me do it. I had to fill out mom and dad application and had to sign as a third party, and so they are tracking us. It's just one more. It was a weird kind of thing that happened, but yeah, I want to hear what
That's
you have.
amazing. So they know.
Yeah,
What if I want to get on your computer and you can't do that?
they just would not let me after I'd filled mine out. They would not let me go on, open up a brand new application, renew your passport, because I was using the same IP. I don't know. They somehow tracked it. I was the same computer.
They're
something.
following everything we're doing. I know that's true. I went to the Red Pill in New Orleans, or I can't remember where it was.
Lafayette.
Lafayette in South
Yeah.
Louisiana. And I learned so much about how they're tracking us, how the woohoo bat flu got here. I mean, just overwhelming evidence of truth. If you ever get a chance to go to one of those things, it's really worth it.
It is.
It's really more than you can absorb at
It
one
is.
time.
It is.
But
I'd like for you to talk about the cash, because we had
Okay.
so many people ask today. They kept saying on that video we did, the live stream, they said we kept waiting for solutions, which I was kind of hoping people would get in the comments, but I guess people are all waiting to hear
Just
solutions.
because every situation is so different. I mean, you know, if you're older and you've just got your Social Security, everything's different for you. If you're just getting out of college, it's a completely, everybody's different. If you've got people to take care of, you know, this lady reached out to me, and just spoiler alert, I don't have advice for you. I can only produce evidence. That way you can come up with your own decisions. I'm a newly subscriber / follower. I'm trying my best to pay off debt. Good job.
Yes.
That's amazing. We only have our home and one vehicle to pay on. No credit card debt. How and what do you do with your 401k? I get that a lot too. Should I pull mine or put it towards a house or leave it in? There is no way I can give you that advice, because here's what happens. As soon as I say, pull your 401k out, take the loss, because I did that. We did that.
We did that. We
The
invested
stock
in a
market
business.
went straight up afterwards. And that's very likely this time. I'm just telling you, you know, people are rolling their 401ks over and Roth and IRAs all the time into precious metals, which I'm for. It's great. If that's what you want to do and that's where your convictions are, then do it, just like we did. But just know there's probably a blow off top coming to the stock market that is going to blow people's minds. We don't know when. You know, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then. But if I said, yeah, that's a good idea, you should do that, 100% for sure I'd be wrong. And, you know, and you just can't. Everybody's got to stand up and take it. They got to do what they got to do. You got to make your decision and make action and live with it. There's nobody that can tell you. You've got to decipher this and really just think through it logically. Do not be fearful. Do not be afraid. You know, but I'll keep going with the comment, but that's the way it is. I'm sorry. I wish I could say, yeah, just do this. Just do this one thing, do this thing, and that's it. I can't. Like I said before, I'm going to put a panel of guys together, and we're going to talk this through. But I would recommend think of your assets in like bags. You know,
We call them baskets.
a basket bag, have cash. If you're into precious metals, you have your precious metals.
If you're into crypto,
I have a crypto bag, and we used to have, or we still do have, a rental property
one.
bag. And the market started getting kind of hot and frothy. Asset prices are going up. Looks like people are going to be hungry. So we got out of that one and went into cash a little bit.
and
So-
precious metals.
And precious metals, you know, kind of take that, you know, conservative route, because I'm telling you, I've gambled in the stock market and lost. I've gambled on crypto and won and then lost and then kind of halfway. But the best advice I can give you is play your cards tight. Hold them right here and watch the other side of the table, because there's a lot of people that are trying to get them. This is going to be the biggest wealth transfer in the history of mankind. So as we get into it, as we start to see things unfold, like for instance, I was in New Orleans, and there was a company there that was pushing an oil field. They're getting people to invest in an oil field. And I went and looked at it, and that's a story for another time. But those people thought that oil was going to go up. It could, and it also could go down in the biggest crash that mankind's ever seen. You know, so there's nobody that can tell you. I'm sorry, I wish I could, but the question's still open. I understand that. What do we do?
Right.
The wealthy have 10 to 50% in physical precious metal. A lot, the ones I follow, the ones that I know, they have a healthy cash position. I just got off the phone with a multimillionaire, and I talk to very wealthy people every day. They are in cash. And a lot of subscribers and people in the comments are going to say, well, why would you go to cash if they're going to print it into the stratosphere? I get that too. But the dollar is really strong. It'll probably get more strong. What's up with you, boy?
I'm sorry.
Skippy's acting crazy.
He's wanting attention. He's like, Daddy, give me some attention.
The dollar's getting extremely strong, and it might really perform, because that is the currency. That's the world reserve currency.
Uh-oh.
Acting crazy. I'm trying to talk
Come on,
over
Skippy.
here.
Come on, Skippy. Get out.
So they're going to cash, and they're going to probably,
go.
what I think is, we're going to buy assets at all-time lows. Now, on the flip side of that, when the Fed pivots, they probably will blow the socks off the stock market and print our money into the stratosphere. And when that happens, what good is your cash? Well, it's not worth very much. Hopefully, during that time, we were able to trade our cash for assets. We were able to take our cash and buy precious metals, possibly, maybe, you know. So try to think through that and watch things that are happening as they come. You're all the time moving.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you're bobbing and weaving,
Yes.
because this is a really volatile environment, and there's going to be millions made. And I think a lot of it's going to happen in commodities, stock. That's one thing we have to have.
Yep.
It's copper, you know,
Right.
coal, oil,
Yep.
that kind of stuff, and maybe uranium.
Yep.
That's why I'm bringing these mines and all these different speculative,
Right.
small penny stocks, because we're going to have it. And when people figure it out, they're going to FOMO in, just like they did crypto. When I lived through the crypto thing, people were buying coins that were absolutely worthless, fugazi, nothing. Who would buy a fake coin for $200 or $300?
They did.
You would be amazed.
Yep.
I was one of them. I got caught up in it, and it was a lot of fun, actually. It was. It's a lot of fun. And, you know, money is it's wow, I bought this thing and it's nothing, and it went straight up. That's the coolest thing. But it also goes straight down.
Yep.
So I hope am I laying it out to where
No,
people
you
can
are.
understand
Yeah,
it? Because
that's what I was trying to tell someone today. There is no right or wrong answer. Everything is personal. Everything is your perspective. Everything is your beliefs. I explained how we do it. At the end of every month, we try to do a financial statement, and we try to see where we stand, and we look at you call them bags or baskets or whatever, and we try to see where do we need to move things or funds or.
I don't even like to tell people what kind of percentage I have, because
No, it changes. It changes. It does. It changes. We used to be able to get something and it was good for 6 months, and it's not the case anymore. But anyway, that's just.
If I had to give you a step number one, I would say step number one, figure out what you're worth.
True.
Take your assets minus your liabilities and find out what you're worth. And when you do that, write down your bills, write down all the things that you owe. And then it'll make it easier. It'll really, when I see it on paper, when
Yep.
she comes to me and say, hey, this is what we got, I can say, okay, we can cut this out, you know.
We'll add this.
Yeah, and move it around and sit for a month or two.
Yep.
And some of it just sits and stays.
It does, but some doesn't.
You know,
Yeah.
we don't mess with a lot
Right.
of it. But there's a lot of things like moving those rental properties.
Right.
That was a big deal. And now we're just kind of waiting.
Right.
Cards close to you, watch, hold tight, don't be scared. There's some deals coming, I think. I think there's some crazy deals coming. 2008, people were buying rental properties, you know, 20 and 30 cents on the dollar. This is probably going to be the biggest crash that humanity's ever seen. Are we going to be able to buy them and rent them, or is the government going to own them? Is everybody going to be starving to death and be like North Korea? I don't know.
I don't know.
But me owning them through something like that doesn't sound like a very good idea. So that's why I'm in cash and precious metals. That's just what we're doing. I'm just being dead honest with you guys.
Yep. And well, I told somebody today, I said, like, we took some of our money, we invested in a pond, as you guys have all seen, that we tried to do with it. We could have water available. But anyway, just these ladies, them coming out and speaking and allowing me to share what they went through and what their concerns are, it's just one more validation of what we've been saying. This is where we're headed. Just wake up, pay attention, try to be prepared, not scared, enjoy every day, and that's where we are.
Yeah, that's it. And, you know, ask questions, and hopefully I'll get that panel together of guys, and we'll be able to, you know, kind of help as we get into this.
Yeah,
so
muddle through it together.
That's it. Guys, have an awesome, awesome day. Thank you for hanging out with us, and for all the new subscribers, thank you so much. You guys are great. I really appreciate it. It's so heartwarming to see you in the comments and just getting along. It's cool. So, later.